Hello everybody, my name is Josh and I have the absolute pleasure and privilege of being on the Gold Coast with Riley Clemmons. Riley, thanks for joining me.
I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited for this interview.
Yeah, me too.
Especially in these big chairs.
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah.
They're really massive. I don't know if the cameras do justice on the massive nature of these chairs.
Yeah, our feet don't touch the ground, so I'm not allowed to sit like this.
No, everybody does.
I look like I'm at playgroup.
Yeah, you look like a kid. It's okay though, so do I. That's why my legs are crossed.
We've seen you perform live a couple of times. You seem to love accents.
I do love accents.
You've basically mastered Australian, I think.
No, I don't know if I've mastered it. I mean,
No.
I'm trying to master it.
Can you count the numbers in Australian?
Yeah, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
It's
7.
pretty good. Now
7, if it's New Zealand, if it's a Kiwi.
So how do you say 7 as a Kiwi?
7.
Yeah, and Australian?
7.
And Nashville?
7.
7.
7. No, if I were talking how my family talks, like where I'm from, it would be like 7.
Right.
Which is kind of like closer to Australian if you think about it.
When you first came out on stage last night, you were like, I'm from Nashville, I love Nashville, it's my favorite place in the world.
I do, yeah.
And I turned around to Eloise, who's our producer, and I was like, there's definitely not a Nashville party. It obviously is that song, Party in the USA, pretty big in Nashville?
Yeah, I mean, it was big everywhere in the States, I think. I mean, it was big, I'm trying to think of what year it came out. I was probably 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was a kid. I mean, I was a kid, but it was huge, and that line goes over really well in Nashville, honestly.
Okay, yeah.
Because it definitely is a Nashville party. Yeah.
Well, why do you love Nashville so much?
I've spent my whole life in Nashville. My family's there, so that creates a definite emotional tie to the city. But the city itself has such a rich culture of not only music, but arts and creativity. The songwriting culture that lives and breathes in Nashville is one of my favorite things about the fabric of the city. It's pretty special.
Yeah.
To have that kind of storytelling and the integrity of the process. It's just born and bred in Nashville, Tennessee. So besides that, we have some really good food. Coffee's not as good there as it is in Australia, but that's what I've been told. But yeah, I love Nashville.
So you grew up in Nashville, and you've got a song which we're going to hear in just a moment, Loved by You. Is Loved by You a song to like you know how people online will be like, a letter to my former self? And
Yeah.
it's like, is this like your letter to your 5-year-old self or to your former self?
That's a great question. Yes, I mean, this song has taken on many forms to me. I think that's the crazy thing about writing music. As an artist, a song and how it impacts you personally, what it means to you as an artist, I feel like it's always changing and evolving as you change and grow. So when we wrote Loved by You, it was one of the last songs we wrote for the album, and I walked into the studio and we were chatting, what's the album missing? What's a missing part of the story you're trying to tell? All the things. And the goal for Loved by You was to create a song that was incredibly simple. It all started, I think we had the conversation right at the top of the session of, I don't know, I just want to write something that tells people how loved they are.
Yeah, well, I think like, I remember the first time I heard the song, and we had been chatting, we've had a few conversations about how it's really hard when you know someone, maybe it's a member of your family or like a friend that you have that you feel like doesn't feel loved or doesn't have a lot of people in their life that they're getting love from. And I really like the simplicity of the song because it just reminds us that even though we may feel distant from our families or we feel like our friends have kind of, I don't know, doing their own thing or whatever, we know that we are loved by, Jesus, which I think is such an important reminder, and it's something that we easily forget.
It totally is. And going back to your previous question, I remember walking out of the studio the day that we wrote Loved by You. The piano riff at the top still stuck in my head, and getting in my car, I immediately had this vision just of this song and the forms it would take. And I saw a little kid in the back of any car. Maybe I was seeing myself, my younger self. I think in many ways I was seeing my younger self, but seeing many different people of all over the place, of all types of people singing this song, singing these lyrics over themselves. I've learned more so in the past year than ever in my life that choosing to speak truth and life over ourselves and our own worlds and our own brains and our own mirrors makes such a huge impact. There are so many voices in current culture that speak to identity and what it should be, how to have a valuable identity, how to be smart enough, how to be beautiful enough, how to be successful enough, how to be a boss enough, how to be all of these things. And I myself, what led to writing this song was getting caught up in those things. But God had been so intentional in that season, and still is, of teaching me that my identity will never be found in things that are temporary, things that come from the world. It will always be a moving target. My own ambitions aren't good enough to accomplish that. And so I want people to know, just like I'm learning, that the sole source of identity and self-worth comes from the love of the Father.
Yeah, and I think that resonates with people because I think a lot of people learn that lesson. I know for me it was quite a hard lesson to learn, like during lockdown and stuff like that. Because all of the things that you could rely on for your identity, like hanging out with your friends and stuff, was all gone for however long. So I think, yeah, I think the song's really relatable and I love it so much. Now,
Thank you.
Riley recorded some acoustic versions of her songs for us just moments ago, and this is her version of Loved by You acoustically.
Sometimes I feel like I'm alone, a bit too broken, unseen, unknown. Sometimes the doubt starts creeping in, so come remind me once again. I am believed in, I am held on to, don't have to wonder who I belong to. I'm always wanted, always known, and always treasured, it's true. Ooh, I am loved by you. It's in your blood, it's in your scars, how far you go to reach my heart. You call me chosen, you call me yours, and that's all that matters forevermore. I am believed in, I am held on to, don't have to wonder who I belong to. I'm always wanted, always known, and always treasured, it's true. Ooh, I am loved by you, loved by you. Ooh, yeah, I am loved by you. Ooh, yeah. And I don't deserve it, I never could, but you're just that faithful, you're just that good. How lovely it is to be loved by you. And I don't deserve it, I never could, but you're just that faithful, you're just that good. How lovely it is to be loved by you. Yeah, I am believed in, I am held on to, don't have to wonder who I belong to. I'm always wanted, always known, and always treasured, it's true. Ooh, I am loved by you. I am loved by you, yeah, loved by you. Oh, I am loved by you. Yeah.
So good, Loved by You, Riley Clemmons. Thanks for joining us on the Gold Coast.
Thank you. I mean, it's not really like I'm doing y'all a favor visiting you on the Gold Coast. This is one of the most beautiful places in the world.
You got to be careful though. I was snorkeling and I snorkeled my head into a rock.
Really?
So even the rocks are out to get you in this country.
Wow. You know, that's what I've been told. Either what, you get hurt or you get
Yeah.
offended.
Yeah, I've been offended like 5 times during this interview already.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. We're only just getting started, I'm afraid.
Okay, so the next song that we're going to listen to is a new song, a brand new
Oh.
unreleased song.
That's right, you heard that right.
It is never been done before acoustically either, right?
This is the first time we've done it acoustically. It's coming out when the album comes out, September 22nd.
September 22nd.
Second. 22nd.
It's based on the shortest verse, or as I like to call it, the easiest verse in the Bible to memorize.
That's right.
Jesus wept.
Jesus wept.
The
in
song
book
is
of
called
Daniel.
Jesus Cried. Not Jesus Died, by the way, which someone
Cries.
thought... Cries. Oh, sorry.
Cries.
Yeah, okay. Jesus Cries.
Jesus Christ.
And it's
yeah.
coming out on September 22nd. Okay, so why did you base it on the shortest verse in the Bible?
I've always had a certain fascination with the verse, Jesus wept, for a multitude of reasons. And, you know, when I got the idea for this song, I was doing my makeup one day and I was thinking about this verse and the context of it and what it means and the impact that it has and why I myself found myself so drawn towards it. And the context of the verse is the story of Lazarus. And setting the scene, Jesus' friend Lazarus, it literally says in the Bible, referring to Lazarus, the one Jesus loves. In the Bible, Lazarus is sick. And when Lazarus passes, Jesus weeps and mourns for his friend. He mourns with Lazarus' family. And looking at that, it's so funny to see Jesus cry in that moment because he knew that he would raise Lazarus from the dead. He knew that death would not be victorious in that story, and yet he was empathetic. He met that family in their mourning, and it served as such an intentional reminder to me in my life that in the hardest, most challenging moments of pain or grief or depression or anxiety, Jesus is not this foreign being that's far away, wagging a finger and telling you to get better, telling you to cheer on up and just keep on going. I really do believe and have experienced it in my own life that Jesus comes down to our places of mourning and gets down in the trenches with us and holds our hand through them. And I think that what breaks our hearts often breaks Jesus' heart too. And that's really impacted me in this season and brought me a lot of comfort and really helped me to feel closer to Jesus. And this song really reflects that.
Yeah, do you think that, like, as Christians, we bottle up our emotions a bit too much, or we sort of focus on just the happy times too much?
You know, I think everybody's different. I think that summarizing Christians as a whole is tricky because everybody is different. But I think sometimes in Christian culture, maybe, it's easier to feel the need to put on a smile when
Yeah.
you don't feel like it. And I'm guilty of that myself. There's literally a line in the song, your smile's wearing thin, just trying to hold it all in.
Yeah.
Yet what I have learned, there's so much freedom in being able to be vulnerable and show weakness to people who don't know Jesus, to people who do know Jesus. I think that it is an inviting thing for people who you want to introduce to the love of God.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Paul talks about boasting in your weakness too. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's...
All the more in your weakness.
Yeah, I like
Reminds us
it.
we need Jesus.
Now, speaking of crying,
Yeah.
you've got a song called Miracle out, which is it's gone pretty popular on on social media.
Yeah.
Everyone's adding it to their videos. How many times have you cried during a miracle video online? I was sitting in the airport and I was just watching some of them, and at first it was fine. It was like people getting married, and I was like, this is nice. And then there was like some people who finally got pregnant, and I was like, oh man. And then the one that got me was, and I don't know if you've seen this one, was the one that someone's dog died, and I was like, oh my.
Not the dog videos. They're heart-wrenching.
But they're they're so beautiful as well. So yeah, I mean, why do you think that song resonates with so many people in that way?
First of all, let me just say, the older I get, the easier of a cry I am.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's much easier to make me cry these days, and I find myself crying a lot, especially at those videos. You know, I've thought about why it's resonated. I posted a snippet of that song, and that's what originally caught traction, and that's been really special. So when I put the song out, we were able to see people starting to use it for videos and all of that good stuff. I think that people have been drawn towards it because it is broadly applicable to a different variety of stories.
It's so good, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, beyond being a story of romantic love, which I've seen in all the wedding and everything like that. I think that it's a bigger story of what it looks like to believe that the sweetest miracles that we experience in this life are oftentimes through the people in our lives, whether that be the miracle baby that God surprised you with, or whether that be your kid in general, or whether that be your friend who led you to Jesus, whether that be somebody, it doesn't matter. And I think that people have taken the song as such and have really chosen to find their stories within the context of the song and within the lyrics of the song.
Which is so great, and it sort of relates to what you're saying before about, having all these weaknesses, having all these maybe tough things in our lives, but seeing where God is working regardless of those things. I think it's really cool. And I think that, the song talks about, you used to think that miracles were turning water into wine and things like that. They don't have to be. They can be the beautiful moments that you have with a friend, or watching a sunset and things like that. So yeah, I think that's really cool, and I think the songs relate to each other. All right, well, Jesus Cries is out on September 22nd when the new album drops, which is Church Pew. You can get it now. Do go and follow Riley too online, and do make your own video with the Miracle song in it. If
I
you
need
like
to cry, yeah.
Tag Riley in it. Do you watch all of them?
Oh yeah, I mean, we've had a lot, and I really do try to watch all of them, but
Okay.
yeah, I need a good cry, so.
Yeah. Go and do it. We love it. All right. Check it out. Riley Clemmons on Instagram and on TikTok. You can follow her, which I have done both of those things.
Nice. I gotta find you on there.
I'm not too old for TikTok.
I am, so I don't know how old you are, but I struggle on the TikTok.
All right, here is Riley with Jesus Cries, acoustically.
It's no secret that life gets a little heavy sometimes, like it's too much for one heart to take. Your smile's wearing thin, just trying to hold it all in, but it feels like the dam's gonna break. You are not alone facing that flood behind your eyes. Heaven already knows every tear that you cry. So let 'em fall like the rain, let 'em roll down your face, let 'em run like a river that carries your way to the Savior with scars right there holding your heart. When you weep, He's there weeping with you. Jesus cries too. There's no answer sometimes for the hurt that's inside, when the healing feels so far away. But in the ache of your soul, there's a love that comes close and catches your tears when they're all you can pray. Let 'em fall like the rain, let 'em roll down your face, let 'em run like a river that carries your to the Savior with scars right there holding your heart. When you weep, He's there weeping with you. Jesus cries too. Jesus cries too. At the edge of the grave, in the valley of pain, when the sadness won't shake, it's true. When the suffering is long, when you can't see the dawn, He fills all the sorrow with you. Jesus cries too. Jesus cries too. Yeah, yeah. to the Savior with scars right there holding your heart. When you weep, He's there weeping with you. He's never been closer, it's true. And Jesus cries too.
All right, Jesus Cries is coming out with the new album on September the 22nd. I can't wait for it. I bet you can't wait either.
I'm
Excited?
so excited. You know, I have spent my entire adult life releasing music.
Yeah.
And this album, this collection of songs of anything that I've ever made, feels like me. You know, so much of the time I've spent in studios has been soaking up and learning and being a sponge, and I feel like it's all led me to the creation of this record. This feels like my heart and soul and my DNA, and I'm ready for people to hear that side of me.
Well, not just your adult life either, right? You were in a choir when you were young?
Yes, I've grown up in music. So I was singing at a choir concert when I was 13 years old. Just so happened that somebody was there to see their daughter that was an artist manager. Then, you know, the story is as goes. I have a manager by the age of 13. I start trading in only writing in my living room to co-writing with other people in Nashville, signed a publishing deal and signed a record deal, and have been releasing songs for a long time.
And that is so different to my experience in the choir.
Yeah?
Like, yeah, well, I did one song and then they didn't ask me to come back. So
That's tough, dog. That
Yeah.
is tough, my man.
it was hard.
Hate to see it.
I had to realize that wasn't for me. That
And
wasn't
that's
where
all
God was
right.
calling me.
That's okay, and not everybody's called there. It'll
Well,
save you a lot of heartache.
I had to sing Celine Dion,
What did you sing?
that Beauty and the Beast song.
Oh,
Yeah.
that Beauty and the Beast song?
Yeah, well, I don't know what it's called.
Tale as Old as Time?
Tale as Old as Time, yeah.
Yeah.
Tale as old as time.
Yeah, that was great. You had vibrato and everything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry too much about it. Maybe rejoin the choir.
Take that, Mrs. Lynch.
Take that, Mrs. Lynch.
Okay,
We
we're,
love you, though.
the next song is called Fighting for Me. I would like to know how Jesus has been fighting for you recently.
Oh, man. Well, I'm just going to shoot you real straight. I'm a very anxious girl. That is my nature.
Yeah.
I function at a high capacity of anxiety, and that's something that I've battled for a long time. And I find myself in so many moments where the only thing I know to rely on is Jesus to fight for me in the moments where I quite literally am too weak, too nervous, too anxious to even begin to know how to fight for myself. And that has been a really special thing to learn to trust and lean into. And I feel like every single day I'm growing more into that and leaning more into it. But as of recently, that is something that has been huge. I have seen Jesus show up for me in such real, tangible ways in terms of bringing peace that goes beyond understanding.
Yeah. It's funny because my next question is about how excited you always are, but that's obviously, and I think I wrote down last night when I was watching you perform live, I was like, it comes across, you're so genuinely excited for Jesus and so genuinely just passionate, I think, about, you were talking about Christian music and how passionate you are about it and about your faith and your love for Jesus really comes across. So my next question was, how do you keep your energy for God? But there's obviously moments where, yeah, God is the actual source of your energy too.
Oh, he always is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the honest answer. I'm an anxious girl, but a lot of anxious people will know this. There's a lot of energy there. Anxiety is energy.
Right.
It's just when excited energy, those feelings are not channeled well and not harnessed well. And that's a real part of my journey and what I've learned. But I think that, like anything, there are good and bad sides to things. So, you know, when anxiety comes, that's obviously a challenge. But when it's the energy and excitement, it's a gift. And so I think it's about learning to find the balance and learning to lean into Jesus when things feel really good and it's exciting and I have energy, and when I have energy but it's anxious energy. So I'm learning. I have learned so much in the past year that I'm allowed to be on fire for Jesus and still be a little anxious sometimes. You
Yeah.
know, they can coexist. And again, we boast in our weakness because that is, we need Jesus more.
Yes.
And I guess I used to live under this false pretense that there was this need for me to always be strong, especially as somebody who has any sort of platform. But I'll be the first to say I am figuring it out as I go, and I'm thankful that God is full of grace and kindness.
Yeah, I think that's really going to come across when we listen to your song, Fighting for Me, which you've recorded on the Gold Coast for us. Thank you so much. We're here with Riley Clemmons.
I need the kind of love that can outlast the night. I need the kind of love that is willing to fight when the going gets tough and my strength's not enough. I see you showing up like never before. This battle for my heart you took on from the start. You are the peace when my mind's at war. And oh, you will never stop fighting for me when I can't fight for myself. Every word is a promise you keep, 'cause you love me like nobody else. You stand up for me in the darkest night when my faith is weak. You're still by my side. You will never stop fighting for me. You will never stop. In the perfect timing, you make all things right. Ooh, yeah. You paint a silver lining in this heart of mine. When the going gets tough and my strength's not in, I see you showing up like never before. This battle for my heart you took on from the start. You are the peace when my mind's at war. And oh, you will never stop fighting for me when I can't fight for myself. Every word is a promise you keep, 'cause you love me like nobody else. You stand up for me in the darkest night when my faith is weak. You're still by my side. You will never stop fighting for me. You will never stop fighting for me. Your love is winning me over. Your heart is pulling me closer. Your love is winning me over. Your heart is pulling me closer. You will never stop fighting for me, fighting for me. Every word is a promise you keep. Oh, yeah. Oh, every word is a promise you keep, 'cause you love me like nobody. You stand up for me in the darkness. Yeah, yeah. You're by my side. You will never stop. You will never stop fighting for me.
I'm clapping for Sam, not myself. I just felt the need to clarify.
I'm clapping for you, so
Cool.
we've got each other covered.
Yeah, nice. Excellent.
Fighting for Me, such a great song.
Thank
you
you.
so much for sharing that with us. Now, your new album is coming out on September the 22nd. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Church Pew. There's a song out already called, the title song of the album is out
Yeah.
already. People can go and listen to it if they want to.
They can go listen to it. I've penned it as a sort of thesis statement for the record as a whole.
Did you have a verse? I've listened to the song. It's an amazing song, by the way. Did you have a verse about how really uncomfortable they are at any point.
Yeah, you know, I should have. You know, you kind of sit there and go numb, right? Like that's the thing about a
So
pew.
numb.
But that's okay because, you know, we're not going to talk about this. We're not going to talk about that because it ruins the poetic effect of the song.
I was in a church recently where my brother got married, and all of the families that went to the church had made their own cushion and decorated it with like their
How
names.
fun is that?
Yeah, I thought
that's
this is a good idea.
Sweet. Yeah, that's nice.
Did you grow up in a church with pews? Because lots of churches don't actually have pews nowadays.
Yeah, you know what's so funny is that I have been visiting some schools here in Australia and have gone around and set up the song Church Pew. And just out of curiosity, I've asked a couple times, hey, who in here knows what a church pew is? You would be stunned by the amount of kids that don't know what it is. But I did grow up on pews. It's a very nostalgic thing to see a church pew.
Yeah.
Especially now we live in the era of a good old plastic chair, and there's nothing wrong with that. Church Pew as a song is very much, it's very literal, but it's also metaphorical in the sense that a pew is anything you're sitting on.
And I got a sense from the song that it's just like a really cool look into your sort of upbringing and where you've come from, and a bit of a roots song. So we're really looking forward to it. Go and listen to that if you'd like to. It's an amazing song. I'm sure the whole album's going to be amazing. Can't wait to hear it. September 22nd, you can pre-save it, pre-order it right now, right?
You can pre-add, pre-save, and
Pre-order.
pre-order. Yep.
Yeah.
All of those things. And you
Great.
should do that because it really helps out.
Or you can set your alarm for midnight on September the 22nd and wake up and be one of the first people in the world to listen to Church Pew from Riley Clemmons. Thank you so much for sitting down with us and playing all those songs for us today. Really appreciate it. All the
Honored.
best. And we love you from New Zealand.
I love you back in New Zealand. So tell your people hi for me.
I will.
Okay, cool. This is fun. Yay!
That's it. We're done.